Well, good morning everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal on a very chilly -4 in Canada, which will make it 24 in the US. Oh, I'm just sitting warming up the car because it is cool. And I want to make sure that I've got a full battery for this trip. We found out that something is pulling a little bit of power overnight, and funny enough it is my Bluetooth that I have in the car, so I've got to remember to disconnect that when I am when it's cold like this, and just let it charge, you know, when I'm driving, not overnight, because it doesn't charge overnight. All it does is pull some power. So good to know, right? Amazing the things you learn. Right, so it's a sort of shortened day for me. I think we work until 3 today, which should be nice, and in between we also get a lunch somewhere in there, so that's good. I want to say that the subject for today is a viewer question, and I got a really nice email from a viewer, and I'm going to keep her name confidential. If she chooses to respond with her name, that's her business, but I would like to keep this confidential until she didn't give me permission to discuss it. She gave me permission to discuss it, in fact asked me to do a vlog on it if I would, but she didn't say that I could use her name, so I'm not going to. Alright, well, here's the situation that she talked about, and some of you may relate to this and some of you may have no idea what this is about. So she said that for all her life she had a really good friend. I mean, they were inseparable. They did everything together, and that she had no reason to believe whatsoever that they would ever stop being a lifelong friendship. And then, back in 2005, suddenly, this friend stopped calling her, stopped being involved, and she never heard from her again. Just like, boom, everything stopped. And I'm certain just in that part of the story, a lot of you are going, been there. She did everything she could for 2 years. She wrote, she sent cards, she did everything she could think of to re-establish communication, and never got a response. Which must have been terrifying, quite honestly, because if you never got a response, you know, how are you to know this person isn't dead, for example? And I'm not quite sure how she knew that, but I didn't get a sense that that was part of the issue. But I mean, you can imagine that could be what you were concerned about for the longest time, unless you knew people who knew people, and therefore you'd know that she was okay. So then, here comes the question. It turns out that this is now 2014, well 15 for some of me, well it'll be 15 for a lot of you already. 2015, so we're talking 10 years later. Suddenly she gets a comment on Facebook from this person, like nothing has happened. And her question to me is, what do I do? And she's in a catch-22 because there's that part of her that wants her friend back, that desperately wants to reply and get her close again. And then there's that other part of her that goes, I don't want to get hurt again. Now, by now, I'm certain I got the attention of a lot of you who've ever been in a relationship that went that way. I've had a relationship go that way, and I've had a friendship go that way. So I totally relate to this. Now, I'm not sure that I have a right answer to it, because I think how you deal with this is an individual matter. But I certainly have some comments to make about it. But I'm going to get driving first, and then I'll get back to you. Okay, so a very wise person told me a long time ago, when I used to let people turn me into a pretzel emotionally. You know, they turn me into knots emotionally. Well, actually, I used to turn myself into knots emotionally over people. That would be really the correct thing. But what that person told me was, seek first to understand. In other words, everybody's got a good reason for doing what they do. I know it doesn't sound like this is a good reason. How could anybody have this as a good reason to just ditch a friend? Well, everybody's got a good reason for doing what they do. I had a friend do it to me over the fact I didn't go to their house for Christmas. And I spent a year phoning and visiting, and never could re-establish that friendship. And so after a year of one way, I let it go. And I have never heard from that person since. So obviously the hurt she felt on my not pitching up for Christmas, it was a snowstorm and I didn't feel safe. The hurt that she felt was greater than our friendship, which is really sad, and I went and apologized for it many times, but she didn't find it in her heart to forgive me that, and that's her choice. So there's part of me that goes, seek first to understand. Was there a reason for this behavior? Because I would say there was. Nobody just ditches somebody. You don't just wake up one morning and say, you know, that's the end of it. There must have been things leading up to this which you may or may not have known about. And I say you may or may not have known about, things that you were saying or doing that hurt, and maybe she never verbalized. Or some people fall in love and drop their friends like hotcakes. I mean, they just boom. So there's nearly always a reason for people doing strange behavior. There's always a reason. So that's what this person told me. Seek first to understand. So that's one option, is you can reply and let her know your intent is just to find out what happened at this stage, which could damage the friendship all over again, but quite honestly, you have every right to know. There is the second side, of course, which a lot of you are probably shaking your heads and going, you know, if somebody dropped you just like that, why would you want them as a friend again? And that one happened to me over a relationship where I was in a 2-year relationship with somebody and they dropped me overnight. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was literally wound my business down because I was leaving where I live and going to the States to go and live with this person. Oh, I think my car just died. No, it didn't. So that's how close I was to leaving Canada and going to the States. And I suddenly got a call to say, don't bother. Well, it wasn't the call I got, but I understood quite clearly that that's what it meant. And it came, in my view, out of the blue. And yet, through a lot of therapy, which I needed, quite honestly, through a lot of therapy, I found out that maybe it didn't come out of the blue. Maybe I was just blind to a lot of the innuendos and comments that were coming out, that I just chose to ignore because I was in love. I'm still not sure about that one, but everybody said, well, he's got to tell you what happened because you need closure. Well, that person didn't care about my having closure. That person cared about getting rid of me. And he was not a brave person himself. So he didn't want to string that out too long, that's for sure. So there are two sides to all of this, and quite honestly, nobody can make this decision for you. And that's the important thing to know, because you are an adult, and what you do is really up to you. Now, I'm pretty sure that some viewers will have some input for you, and some of it probably will be more dramatic than others, but my feeling about this is it's really only up to you. And if you want to reestablish communication, that's okay. And if this person ceremoniously dumps you a second time, we'll all be sad for you, because all of us want this to work for you if that's what you want. But it certainly isn't our business to tell you how to go about doing it. And there are some that will tell you, do not go near this person in 1,000 years because they're just going to hurt you again, which is possible. But it is also equally possible that they realize that they made a terrible mistake and want to atone for that in some way. Now, will you ever trust them again? Totally? Probably not. So do you see that it doesn't really matter what the rest of us think? It's about, what do you want to do? And as long as you're prepared to take responsibility for it, and that's the whole thing that I always say, by the way, on these things, which is the reason to seek advice is to get lots of options. It's not to have somebody tell you what to do. And if you seek advice from people, so you've got a bag of options that you can work through and go, okay, that one suits me best at this time, then that's a good thing to do. But if you want other people, to make your call for you, then you're not living your own life, you're living your life through others, if you like. And let's say that you do decide to let this person back in your life, and as I said, and do decide to have a relationship again, and they do hurt you again. Hey, you won't be the first person to do that. I certainly have. But you'll do it until you get the message, which is enough. And how many times will that take? I don't know. It's very personal. And on the other hand, you could reestablish it and have a happy relationship for the rest of your life. Who knows? I don't think any of us can make that judgment call. But here's what I would suggest. Tread carefully. Don't give your heart and soul in a heartbeat. In other words, Let this person prove that they are trustworthy before you trust them again. And don't invest your whole heart again. I wonder how many of you understand that one, that you learn to just keep enough of your heart to yourself so you can sustain yourself. For so much of my life I gave my heart away to friends and to boyfriends and anybody who happened to be walking by. Here you are, here's my heart. And they would trample on it, and they would hurt me so sore. And then it took many, many times before one day I said, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to keep enough of my heart to myself so that if they go away or if they do something nasty, I've still got enough mojo left in me to be able to survive without going through years of pain and suffering and really heartache, that terrible, terrible heartache. So I really thank you though for asking the question, and for also being patient, because I explained that because it's New Year I probably wouldn't get a chance to get this vlog up until probably 24 hours from right now that I'm recording it, and the viewer said that was okay. So I would really be interested in, I've got a lot of very wise people in the Dear Mama Sal network, and I'd certainly be interested if any of you have any other views on this one. If this were your daughter, how would you advise them? I think the most difficult thing is to understand that it's probably going to hurt one way or the other, because what it's done, I'm certain you can all see that what it's done is it's rekindled those feelings, because up until then you got 10 years of separation between yourself and those terrible feelings, and now undoubtedly they are back. And it was interesting because the person who wrote, the viewer who wrote, said to me, 95% I'm ready to talk to her, but 5% says I'm not. And I'm scared I'm going to let rip with a tirade of very interesting words. I'm surprised it's only 5%. I must say that if somebody did that to me, I think I'd have a whole lot more than 5% of me being that angry. Now, I'm not sure if that makes me a good person or a bad one, but, it's like, no, I think there'd be a whole lot more than 5%. I was trying to imagine when I thought about this, what if the guy that I was so in love with turned up on my doorstep and said, "Hi, I'm single again," because he got married. "I'm single again, and I'd like to apologize for what happened." Would I trust him with my heart? I don't think so. Because he's already proven himself to be untrustworthy with my heart. Now, that's just me. Now, do I think that I'd be easily manipulated? Yeah, I guess so. But I'd still have that part of me that went, just watch out here. Take it easy. So I think I could forgive, but I wouldn't forget. I would not forget. And I'm sure that a lot of the viewers have similar stories to tell on this. You know, they've had their version of this, so I'm certain we got lots of experience out there. It's New Year's Eve. I know as I record this, a lot of you will already be out of New Year's Eve. By the time this gets published, a lot of you will be going, oh, I'm over the hangover already. So I wish you a wonderful year, a really wonderful year. May it be the best year that you have had. May your dreams come true, and may you find what you're looking for. And I cannot imagine that we wouldn't want that for everybody that we know. So it's now -6, 22 degrees in America. It is cold for us. I know some of you are laughing, saying, Sal, that's not even cold yet. Believe me, for us, this is bitter cold. we don't do this sort of weather. We're wusses, I'll admit that. But, you know, we're on our way to spring. That's the way I look at it. Spring is definitely on its way. The days are getting shorter, longer already. So I'm really, really looking forward to spring. I noticed, on a very positive note, that my crocuses are out. Not flowering, but they're up above ground. The leaves are all above ground. The crocuses are saying it's time for spring. Now, I will know that spring is definitely on the way when the tree outside my front door starts to get buds. Because that is the first tree to bloom every spring. It's a flowering cherry. And a weeping cherry tree. And I know every time that thing flowers, I go, that's it. It's spring in my book. So everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful year. Thank you for your incredible support over the year. We have really appreciated it. For all of you who have given countless hours to help others, there are no words to thank you. I am sure that you all know who you are, and you all know how much we appreciate you. For those of you who've been sick, may it be a healthy year for you. And for those of you who are recovering, may your recovery be complete. This is dear Mama Sal saying, let's make it a great 2015. Bye-bye for now.